Yeah, so do you have any question? So the first one is talking about the congruent polygon, right? So this is the definition of the congruent polygon. The corresponding path has to be congruent, right? So the this one congruent with this one, this one congruent with this one, this one congruent with this one, right? So the angle has to be congruent. Okay, so that's the definition of the congruent polygon. And the third one is, the second one is the third angle theorem. So if two angles of one triangle are congruent to two angles of another triangle, then the third angle are congruent. So you can see from here.
D, E, and F, if I know that angle A is congruent to D, angle B is congruent to E, then I can use this theorem to conclude that angle C would have to be congruent to angle F, just based on this theorem, the third angles theorem. All right, so let's use what we know about triangle.
Yeah, after you understand about the definition of the congruent polygon, that you can use that definition to prove that this triangle is same as the triangle triangle. Congruent with this triangle triangle. So this is how to prove it. This is given, right? M congruent with O, and then this congruent with this, and this congruent with this. Or this one is given. Okay. Um, then this one is congruent because it's collect reflective property of congruent. Right? And then, these two angles O and L and K, sorry, M and L congruent with O and L because I think it's on the angle theorem. Right? So if the two angle is congruent, so the third angle is congruent. For definition, the two triangle are congruent. So any question?
No.
No, sir.
To math is fundamental. Today we're going to be talking about the side, 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 and side, angle, side triangle congruence theorems. All right, so we're going to start with the first one, which is the side, side, side postulate. Sorry, not theorem, postulate. All right, so the side, 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 or we just call it SSS, postulate says if the three sides of one triangle are congruent to three sides of another triangle, then the two triangles have to be congruent. So in the last video that I did, we talked about the definition of congruent triangles, and we talked about how all...
Sorry, I will skip it. Okay, so basically, the side postulate is like the three corresponding triangle. The three corresponding side are congruent, so the angle are congruent. Okay. And for the second one is a side angle side. So if this side congruent with this side, and this side, and then the angle between this side congruent, so the triangle is congruent. So SSS, SAS, and this is the example how to prove two triangle congruent. So here you have this kind of triangle. You want to prove this triangle congruent with this triangle, so you can use this one is the example for SSS, I believe. Yeah, so AF and DG is congruent, right? And then AF and DG, all right. Remember the alternating angle of congruent, right? Yeah, alternating interior angle congruent. And, using the flexi, because this one is the same. Yeah, I think this one using the set angle set, right? Okay. Yeah, set angle set congruent postulate. So any question? So the next lesson will be talking about triangle congruent by angle set angle and then angle set. Okay. You can see the video here.
A little different. Here's my two angles, but now I want a side that's not in between them. For example, this one. If those are congruent to two angles in the corresponding non-included side of another triangle, then the two triangles are congruent. So the only thing you need to really be careful of here is if I have my two angles and I'm looking at the other side of the other triangle, I need to make sure that it's a corresponding side. Okay, so we now have 4 ways. All right, so
Yeah, so before we have the side, right? And then set angle set. Now for this one, we have angle set angle. Okay. So if you know this, the corresponding angle and set angle, and then the other angle congruent, so the triangle congruent. Right? So the angle set is if the two angle, this angle and this angle. I mean, I think start from this angle congruent with this angle, and then this angle congruent with this angle, and then this side congruent with this side. So the two of triangle, two triangle are congruent. So this is lesson 3. And the next one, I think the example to use the theorem, right? Yeah, so this is
angle, and we learned angle, angle, side, and in the last video, we talked about side, 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 and side, angle, side. So here's the 4 things we can look at now when we're trying to figure out why two triangles are congruent to each other. All right, so for each one of these diagrams, we're going to figure out, can we decide?
Yeah, I think it's clear from here, right? So all of this triangle are congruent. Okay? Yeah, I think this one is congruent because this one will be congruent, right? Because the same side. So for this one also congruent. So for this one using the side, and for this one using what is it? Angle, side, right? Okay, and for this one using what is thing? For this one, you have angle here, you have side, you have side. Yeah, for this one using the angle side, right? So using this one, okay. And what about this one? I think side angle
Side
side.
angle side.
Yeah. Okay. And this one is in side, right? Because this side is the same because this same side, right? Or reflective, using reflective property, right? And for
Right.
this one is side angle side because this one is vertical angle, so they are the same, right? So this one using this one side angle side. Yeah, for this one using side angle side, they're using this one.
If they're congruent to each other, and which theorem are we going to use to prove it? So if we look at A, might be some hidden information in the triangle. So let's look. If we already have two sets of sides, I know the reason why they're congruent. So let's look at C. So again, I have two sets with this information, and we go around our.
So we already used this one. Right? We used this one. But this one is no, because yeah, it should be the sides be right here, not right here. Right? So that's what they say no, right? Okay, does it make sense?
Triangle, we would have a side, and then an angle, and that doesn't work in geometry. In math, this is not enough to show that two triangles are congruent, so we can't use it. All right, and then for example D, our last one, we have two sets of sides given to us already, so we that's true, always.
Yeah, you
so
can.
yes,
You
these
can
are
do this one.
congruent
Okay,
by
it's
side,
consider.
angle, side for this example.
Okay, if you consider this video is too long, so you can skip it. Okay. It's basically for the homework, you only need to give the example, give the definition and example. So you don't need to show this one for the example. Okay. So for the homework, actually you just need to watch like 3 minutes and give the example for this, for the concept. Yeah. So just so for your homework, basically it's only you need only to watch the video in 2 minutes to get the answer for the lesson 3 homework, right? Okay, so let me give another. I will show you another lesson. Lesson 4. Okay. Yeah, for lesson 4.
F, and then let's mark our congruent parts. So let's say we have angle A congruent to F, B congruent to E, C congruent to D, and then we have our congruent corresponding sides here. So the definition of congruent triangles proves that if this is true, so if this is true, then triangle ABC is congruent to triangle FED. So that's what the definition of congruent triangles does for us. And similarly, all of the triangle congruence postulates we learned in the last two videos. So also, we have side, 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 angle, angle, and angle, angle, side. All four of those prove that triangles are congruent, and those are just kind of shortcuts to the definition of congruent triangles. So now what today's lesson's on is a little bit, it's kind of like the flip, the backwards, the converse of what we've just been doing. So Cpctc stands for, if two triangles are congruent, then the corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. So I've underlined the letters Cpctc, which is where it comes from. And what this means is that if triangle ABC is congruent to triangle FED, so if we know that the triangles are congruent, we're given that information or we figured it out, then we can say, then all parts are congruent. So this isn't about proving that triangles are congruent. That's not what Cpctc does. It takes congruent triangles and it uses that to prove that other parts are congruent. So our little note down here is that Cpctc is used to prove that.
Yeah, so so the lesson four is repeat the
Corresponding part.
what two congruent triangle, right? I mean, review the definition of the congruent triangle. Okay. And then now using this. So now to give you the definition about the Cpctc, corresponding part of the congruent triangles are congruent. Okay, so Cpctc is corresponding to parts of the congruent triangle are congruent. Okay. Corresponding C part, C is congruent, T is triangle, and then C is congruent again. Okay. And this is give you the example for the problem how to prove these two triangles using, I mean, not prove the triangle, but to prove this side congruent with this side. So you can use call it Cptc.
So we have
first,
given.
Yeah, first we have this the triangle congruent, right? And then it's given the AF parallel to TG. And now we need to prove the EF equal congruent with 2DG. So this is the step that we need to do. I think first you need to prove that the two triangles are congruent, and then we can conclude that EF equal to DG. This one using the alternate interior angle congruent theorem. If this parallel, this one parallel, so the alternated interior angle theorem says these two angles are congruent. The one that is blue is given. And then, so now you have the angle, side, angle, right? So you can conclude that the two triangles are congruent. Yeah. So side angle side. Sorry, angle side angle. So you can conclude this side equal by using the Cpctc.
Of congruent triangles are congruent. That's what Cpctc does for.
Yeah, so to answer the question in the homework, you just need to completely, watch all the videos. So when you got the derivation and example, you just write the answer in your homework. Okay. So in this case, the example is kind of diagram here. Okay, any question?
No. No.
So next Friday, we will discuss about the next lesson, okay? And also the homework. Yeah, actually this one already discussed today, right? Okay, so yes, if you don't any question, just if you don't have any question, you can complete the lesson for today. Okay?
Dr. Sam,